Welcome back to the channel. Today's story is a heartwarming tale about friendship, love, and a confession that changed two lives forever. A man thought he was simply complimenting the woman he cared about when he said, "Whoever marries you will be lucky." But he never expected her emotional reply, "I was hoping it would be you." What happened next turned a beautiful friendship into an unforgettable love story. Stay with us until the end to discover how one simple sentence led to a life-changing moment. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more touching and inspiring stories. Now grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's get started. I first met Emily on a rainy Saturday afternoon in Portland, Oregon. I had stopped by a small neighborhood bookstore to escape the weather and spend a quiet hour looking through the shelves. The smell of old books and fresh coffee filled the air, creating a peaceful atmosphere that made me want to stay all day. As I walked through the fiction section, I noticed a young woman standing on a small ladder, reaching for a novel on the highest shelf. Just as she grabbed it, the book slipped from her hand. Instinctively, I stepped forward and caught it before it could hit the floor. She looked down at me and laughed. "Nice save," she said with a warm smile. There was something about that smile that immediately caught my attention. It was genuine, bright, and impossible to ignore. We started talking about books, then about movies, travel, and life in general. What was supposed to be a brief conversation turned into nearly an hour. Before leaving, we exchanged phone numbers. Over the next few months, Emily and I became close friends. We met for coffee after work, explored local parks on weekends, and shared stories about our lives. She told me about her dream of becoming a writer and opening a small bookstore of her own one day. I told her about my hopes, my disappointments, and the plans I had nearly given up on. What surprised me most was how easy it felt to talk to her. With Emily, I never had to pretend to be someone else. She listened without judging and always seemed to know exactly what to say when I needed encouragement. As time passed, she became one of the most important people in my life. Yet despite her kindness and intelligence, Emily often doubted herself. She never believed she was as special as everyone else thought she was. Whenever someone complimented her, she would brush it off and change the subject. One evening, nearly a year after we met, we decided to take a walk along the Willamette River. The sun was setting, casting shades of orange and pink across the water. We found a quiet bench and sat together watching boats drift by. The conversation turned serious as Emily spoke about her fears for the future. She admitted that she sometimes worried she would never find someone who truly understood her or loved her for who she was. Hearing that surprised me because, in my eyes, she was one of the most remarkable people I had ever known. I looked at her and smiled. "Emily," I said gently, "whoever marries you will be lucky." She stared at the river for a few seconds, her expression thoughtful. Then she turned toward me, her eyes shining in the fading sunlight. The breeze softly moved her hair as she took a deep breath. In a voice barely above a whisper, she said something I never expected to hear. "I was hoping it would be you." For a moment, I couldn't speak. Emily's words seemed to hang in the air between us as the sounds of the river faded into the background. My heart was racing, and I stared at her, wondering if I had heard her correctly. For months, maybe even longer, I had hidden my feelings because I was afraid of losing the friendship that meant so much to me. Emily had become the person I trusted most, the one I looked forward to seeing after a long day, and the one who could make me smile no matter what was happening in my life. The thought of risking all of that had always stopped me from saying what I truly felt. But now, as I looked into her eyes, I realized she had been carrying the same feelings all along. "Do you really mean that?" I asked softly. She nodded and smiled nervously. "I do. I've been hoping for a long time." Hearing those words felt like a weight lifting from my shoulders. Suddenly, every memory we had shared took on a new meaning. I remembered the way she always checked on me when I was stressed, the way she remembered little details that everyone else forgot, and the way her face lit up whenever we spent time together. I realized those moments had never been one-sided. Taking a deep breath, I reached for her hand. "Emily," I said, "the truth is, I've felt the same way for a long time. I just didn't know how to tell you." Tears gathered in her eyes, but this time they were happy tears. She laughed softly and shook her head. "So we've both been waiting for each other?" I laughed too. "Looks that way." We sat there for a while, holding hands and talking as the sky grew darker and the city lights reflected across the water. For the first time, everything felt simple. There were no doubts, no fears, and no uncertainty about what came next. Over the following months, our relationship grew stronger than either of us had imagined. Because we had started as friends, we already knew each other's strengths, weaknesses, dreams, and fears. We supported one another through challenges and celebrated every success together. Emily continued working on her writing, and I encouraged her every step of the way. Eventually, she completed her first novel, something she had dreamed about for years. 1 year after that evening by the river, I planned a special day in the same place where everything had changed. As the sun began to set, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. Before I could finish the question, she was already crying and nodding. "Yes," she said, "1,000 times yes." A few months later, surrounded by family and friends in a beautiful garden ceremony in Oregon, Emily walked toward me in a white. As everyone cheered around us, I knew I was marrying not only the love of my life, but also my best friend, and I felt like the luckiest man in the world.